Good morning. Okay. So we will continue our topic on the gonadotropins. So till now we have discussed about the endocrine system in endocrine. We have already, as you know, that we have already started the endocrine system, and we have already discussed about the prolactin, about the regulation of the this gonadotropins, regulation of the release of the gonadotropin, about the gonadotropin releasing agonist. Okay, so today we will discuss on the topic gonadotropins and the gonadotropin receptor antagonist. Okay, gonadotropins and the gonadotropin receptor antagonist. So gonadotropins. We know that what is the gonadotropins? Gonadotropins are the hormone. We know about that. The gonadotropins which are released from the anterior lobe of the pituitary glands are the luteinizing hormone, stimulating hormone, and the luteinizing hormone, follicular stimulating hormone, and the interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Interstitial cell stimulating hormone. We know about that. We have discussed about that. Okay. Gonadotropins, they are also available as a commercial preparation. Synthetic preparation of the gonadotropins was also available. So gonadotropins, synthetic preparation of the gonadotropins are also available. So when there's a deficiency of the release of the gonadotropins from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland because of certain diseases, because of some diseases. Okay, when that disease happens, there is a deficiency of the release of the gonadotropins from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. In that condition, the drugs need to be given. Synthetic preparation of the gonadotropins need to be given exogenous. So, what are those gonadotropins? Synthetically produced gonadotropins. The commercial preparation of the gonadotropins are the human chorionic gonadotropin. HCG. That's all. Its abbreviated form is the HCG. Human chorionic gonadotropin. Okay, human chorionic gonadotropin. Now, generally, this human chorionic gonadotropins it's also released from the uh, during the pregnancy. In the mother during the pregnancy, from the fetal placenta, from the fetal placenta, and it is derived and prepared. Human chorionic gonadotropin is derived and prepared from the urine of the pregnant woman. From the urine of the pregnant woman. Human chorionic gonadotropin, they are the glycoprotein hormone which are secreted by the in during the which are secreted and released during the pregnancy, pregnant mother, from the fetal placenta. So they are also available. They are also present in the maternal blood during the pregnancy. And this human chorionic gonadotropin, they are derived and prepared from the urine of the pregnant woman. Okay, pregnant mother. Okay, so and the route of administration of human chorionic gonadotropin is the subcutaneous route, through the subcutaneous route. Okay, and the other preparation is the human menopausal urinary gonadotropin. Okay, so now this HMG, that's the abbreviated form, is the HMG, and this preparation is given by the intramuscular route. This preparation is administered by the intramuscular route, and this preparation, human menopausal urinary gonadotropin, they are they are derived and prepared from the urine of the menopausal woman. So I will repeat it again. There are the two preparation: human chorionic gonadotropin and the uh, menopausal menopausal urinary gonadotropin. Human chorionic gonadotropins, they are administered by the subcutaneous route, whereas the human menopausal urinary gonadotropin (HMG) that is administered by the intramuscular route. Okay, so at least remember the name human chorionic gonadotropin. It is given by the subcutaneous route, and the human menopausal urinary gonadotropin, they are given by the intramuscular route. Okay, and now indications of the gonadotropins. That's indication of the gonadotropins. So the most commonly used gonadotropins are the gonadotropins preparation are the HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. Where the HMG is also used. HMG is the human menopausal urinary gonadotropin, that is also used, but it is given along with the HCG. Okay, HCG is the human chorionic gonadotropin. That's the most commonly used gonadotropin preparation. Whereas the human menopausal urinary gonadotropin, it is also used, but along with the human chorionic gonadotropins. Okay, so number one indication is the during the infertility and the amenorrhea. So infertility. So what is the infertility? Infertility is the failure. It is the failure to achieve the pregnancy Okay, it is failure to achieve the clinical pregnancy. It is the failure to achieve the clinical pregnancy is called the infertility. Whereas the amenorrhea is the cessation of the menstrual cycle. Cessation of the menstrual cycle. So what happened in both the condition? There is a cessation of the ovulation. Cessation of the ovulation. So to induce the ovulation, in infertility and the amenorrhea, gonadotropin preparations are used. Example, the most commonly used gonadotropins are the human chorionic gonadotropin. Human chorionic gonadotropin. So number one indication is the induction of the ovulation in infertility and the amenorrhea. In infertility and the amenorrhea. Okay. Okay. Cryptorchism. So what is a cryptorchism? Okay. During the development of the fetus, or during the development of the fetus. So what will happen? Sometimes what will happen? The descent of the test. There's a failure of the descent of the. There's a failure of the descent of the testis into the scrotum. There's a failure of the descent of the testis into the scrotum. That condition is called the cryptorchism. Cryptorchism. That's called the cryptorchism. Okay. I will repeat it again. Cryptorchism is a congenital disease in the newborn. So what will happen during the fetus, during the development of the fetus? There's a failure of the descent of the testis into the scrotum. That condition is called the cryptorchism. So what is the use of the gonadotropins? Gonadotropins promote the descent of the testis into the scrotum during the development of the fetus. So another indication is the cryptorchism. Okay. Now, other condition where the gonadotropin preparations are used: gonadotropic hypogonadism. In male, generally in the male. So what are the hypogonadotropism is a condition, is a disease in the male. That is, the pathophysiology of the disease is it's because of the disease of the either the disease of the hypothalamus or either the disease of the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So because of that disease, what will happen? There's a deficient release of the gonadotropin releasing hormone from the hypothalamus, or the deficiency of the release of the gonadotropins. We can say the luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. That will lead to the disease that is called the hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. In the male. Okay, in the male. So for that condition, so for the treatment of the hypogonadotropic hypogonadism in the male, we need to give the gonadotropin preparation that will induce the release of the luteinizing hormone as well as the follicle stimulating hormone from the anterior lobe. Not induce, I mean, say the exogenously that replace the requirement of the luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone in the human body. Okay, so hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. And the other indication is the delayed puberty in the boys. Delayed puberty in the boys. Okay, so delayed puberty. Second, so what is the puberty? Puberty is the development of the secondary sexual characteristics. If that usually occurs at the age of the 12 to 13 years. If there's a delay in the onset of those secondary sexual characteristics at the age of the 12 to 13 years, so that condition is called the delayed puberty. So during the delayed puberty, for the treatment of the delayed puberty, this gonadotropin preparation can be given. Okay, so indication, I will repeat it again. The indications of them: number one is the induction of the ovulation in infertility and the amenorrhea. Induction of the ovulation in infertility, the amenorrhea. Cryptorchism, for the promotion of the descent of the testis into the scrotum. Cryptorchism. Okay, hypogonadotropic hypogonadism in the male. So, and the delayed puberty in the adverse drug reactions. Hyperstimulation syndrome is the most common adverse drug reaction. So what is hyperstimulation syndrome? Okay, hyperstimulation syndrome is the HCG after HCG injection. Suppose human chorionic gonadotropin induces the ovulation. So what is the ovulation? Ovulation is the release of the eggs. Ovulation is the release of the eggs from the ovary. That called the maturation of the ovarian follicles. Maturation that induces the maturation of the ovarian follicles that release the eggs from the ovary. So when the as I have discussed earlier, that the HCG this and HMG. HCG is the human chorionic gonadotropin is the most commonly used gonadotropins, whereas the HMG is the human menopause urinary gonad. If they are given, if HCG and the HMG given together, so what will happen? They causes they release that leads to the excessive stimulation of the maturation of the ovarian follicles. Excessive stimulation of the maturation of the ovarian follicles that may lead to the condition that's called the hyperstimulation syndrome, that is characterized by the this friable ovarian, friable ovarian, or that is characterized by the abdominal pain and the nausea. Okay, so that condition is called the hyperstimulation syndrome. In simple language, we can say that because of the when the HCG and HMG they are given concomitantly, so what will happen? They may lead to the excessive stimulation of the ovarian follicles, which is characterized by the excessive maturation of the ovarian follicles, which is characterized by the nausea and the abdominal pain. That condition is called the hyperstimulation syndrome. Okay, now gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. Gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. We have already discussed about the gonadotropin releasing hormone agonist and the gonadotropin preparation. So they are the agonists. They induces the release of the luteinizing hormone and the follicular stimulating hormone from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So so gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist, they are the antagonist of the gonadotropin releasing hormone. So they inhibit the release of the luteinizing hormone and the follicular stimulating hormone. Okay, now what are the drugs for the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist? Okay, ganirelix, cetrorelix, and the degarelix. Ganirelix, cetrorelix, and the degarelix. These are the drugs which are used, which are the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonists. Ganirelix, cetrorelix, and the degarelix. Okay, ganirelix, cetrorelix, and the degarelix. Okay, at least remember two drugs. That's the ganirelix, either the ganirelix or the cetrorelix, or the ganirelix or the degarelix. Okay. Okay, now the mechanism of action. So they are the antagonist of the G protein coupled receptor of the gonadotropin releasing hormone. As we know that in anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, as we have already discussed earlier, in anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, gonadotrop cells are present. Now the plasma membrane of the gonadotrop cells, they contains the gonadotropin releasing hormone receptors. So they are the G protein coupled receptor. They are the G protein coupled cells. Now the stimulation of those receptors by the gonadotropin releasing hormone will induces the release of the luteinizing hormone and the follicular stimulating hormone from the gonadotrop cells of the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Now what's the mechanism of action of this antagonist? They produces this gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. They produces the antagonist effect on G protein coupled receptor of gonadotropin releasing hormone in plasma membrane of the gonadotrop cells of the anterior pituitary lobe. They produces the antagonist effect on G protein coupled receptors of gonadotropin releasing hormone, which are located on the plasma membrane of the gonadotrop cells of anterior pituitary lobe. So what will happen? The gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is releasing, will not be able to bind to their respective receptors in those receptors. So what will happen? There will be the inhibition of the release of the luteinizing hormone or the follicular stimulating hormone from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, and that happens on the dose dependent manner. Okay, so that is the mechanism of action of the this gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. I will repeat it again. The mechanism of action of the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. Okay, they produces the antagonist effect on the gonadotropin releasing hormone receptors, which are the G protein coupled receptors, which are present on the plasma membrane of the gonadotrops of the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So what will happen? So there will be no binding of the gonadotropin releasing hormone to those receptors. So what will happen further? There will be the inhibition of the release of the gonadotropins or the luteinizing hormone and the follicular stimulating hormone from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. So that is the mechanism of action of the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. Okay, now the indications. Subcutaneous administration. Okay, number one thing is what is the route of the administration? Is the subcutaneous administration, parenteral route. So subcutaneous administration. Now the ganirelix and the cetrorelix. Okay, before knowing about the indications, we have already discussed about that role of the gonadotropin releasing hormone agonist. What is the role of the gonadotropin releasing hormone agonist? The gonadotropin releasing hormone agonist induces the release of the luteinizing hormone. Now that luteinizing hormone will lead to the induction of the ovulation. That is the role of the agonist. But what will happen sometimes, because of the when the gonadotropin releasing hormone, when they are given for the longer duration, or sometimes when the dose is over, if when they are given for the longer duration, so sometimes what will happen, they may produces the hyperstimulation of the induction of the ovulation. So to control that hyperstimulation of the induction of the ovulation, we need to give the other drugs that control that further inhibit the release of the luteinizing hormone source. So that can be done by giving the ganirelix and the cetrorel. That's the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonists. Okay. So what is the indication of the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonists? Prevention of the luteinizing hormone source during the controlled ovarian hyperstimulation. That means when the gonadotropin releasing hormones agonists are given for the induction of the ovulation. So what may happen during the induction of the ovulation? Sometimes there may be the luteinizing hormone source. What is the luteinizing hormone? Maximum release of the luteinizing hormone. Okay, or maximum action of the physiological action of the luteinizing hormone. So that can be controlled by giving the gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist. So the drug that can be given for the prevention of the luteinizing hormone during the controlled ovarian hyperstimulation is the ganirelix and the cetrorelix. Okay. Other indication is the for the degarelix, that is used for the degarelix for the treatment of the prostate cancer. Okay. So treatment of the symptomatic advanced prostate cancer, or simply we can say the prostate cancer that produces the sign and symptoms, and they are of the advanced stages. That's called the symptomatic advanced prostate cancer. So for the treatment of the symptomatic advanced prostate cancer, so how it is useful for the treatment of the symptomatic advanced prostate cancer? This gonadotropin releasing hormone antagonist, they reduces the concentration of the gonadotropins and androgen, and they avoids the testosterone source. Okay, that is not important. Just remember the name of the disease. Number one is that's the treatment of the symptomatic advanced prostate cancer, or for the controlled ovarian hyperstimulation, for the prevention of the controlled ovarian hyperstimulation. And the other indication is for the treatment of the symptomatic advanced prostate cancer. Okay, I think this will be the last slide for today. Okay. Adverse drug reaction most common is the nausea and the headache. That's the most commonly nausea and the headache. It's the exact mechanism is not known, but it produces the nausea or the headache. Okay. Injection at the site of the reaction. Because these drugs are given by the subcutaneous administration, so it may produce the injection site reactions. Reaction at the injection site reaction. Okay, that could be the pain at the site of the reaction, or sometimes the allergic reaction. Okay, and the hot flashes and the weight gain, they are the rare adverse drug reaction. Okay, the most common adverse drug reaction is the nausea and the headache. Okay, so this is all about the gonadotropins releasing hormone antagonist. The important things are the okay, we have finished now over this hormones from the anterior lobe of the pituitary glands. So we have discussed about the prolactin, we have discussed about the growth hormone, and we have discussed about the gonadotropins releasing hormone, the agonist and the antagonist and the gonadotropin. Okay, the most important thing is here the physiology. I think the in endocrine system still you will they will teach you in physiology. They will teach you about this regulation of the physiology of the regulation of this hormone from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland in detail. Okay, we have also discussed about that in brief here. So they will teach you in detail also. So I think from the pharmacological point of view, here the important thing is the indications. Okay, most only like growth hormone. So what are the different types of growth hormone? Okay, what are the indications of the growth hormone, and there sometimes the adverse drug reaction is not that much important, the indication is the most important there. Similarly in prolactin also, the indications of the prolactin, okay, prolactin receptor antagonist is also there, there's a dopamine, there's indication, and the adverse effects is not important. And then gonadotropin releasing hormone, name of the gonadotropin releasing hormone agonist and their antagonist. At least remember two drugs, not all the drugs, but two drugs. Their mechanism of action is important, and their indications are the important, not the adverse drug reaction. Indications are the important. Okay, but probably this chapter is not that much important comparing to the other chapter of the endocrine system, like the glucocorticoids, that's corticosteroids, okay, drugs used for the treatment of the diabetes mellitus, and the thyroid hormone. These that are the important chapter, and these are the less important chapter comparing to the other topics. Okay, so at least remember the name of the drug and their indications. What I have taught you in this, what we have already discussed in the this hormones, about the hormones of the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay, any confusion?
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
I
sir.
think thank you. That's all for today.